Hey everybody, you're listening to the Combo Wombo podcast. I'm Chip Monk, and with me as always is the Mr. Gimpy, where the perfect intro is always left on the cutting room floor. What's happening, bro?
It's true. So, lo and behold, everybody, a Windows update came out a couple days ago, and I installed it apparently, and
It
reset
installs
my
no
audio
matter
shit.
what you say, dude. Like, Windows does not care anymore.
Even if you set it to install, or ask me before installing or whatever, it doesn't give a shit. It's like I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure I restarted or something, and it just did it. Who
I'm pretty
knows?
sure I had like all updates off, and then it was just like, yeah, we're updating, bro. Whatever.
It's you come back to your computer, it's giving you the finger as a bar is like loading.
It's so it gives
Doesn't
you
even
that
say
thing like,
anything.
oh, I hope you saved. And then it like just starts restarting.
Take
Yeah,
this,
man.
bitch. I'm updating all of my shit. You
I've
want more
been
features? We got more features.
I've been struggling here, wondering because I've been dabbling again back into Unity, and I'm
Yes,
running
sir.
into problems as always. It crashed on me the other day, as Unity does, and I'm messing with a basically fresh install of it,
Okay.
and I'm
Okay.
wondering if I need to update uh, it. So I'm sitting here, like in the middle of this project. I'm not too deep into it, but I have a few days into it already, and I'm like, do I try and update to fix like some of the stuff I'm running into? Because I'm running into stuff like the input manager where it doesn't want to deal with
Okay.
me. It's just like that because they have like a new input manager, which is the spreadsheet. But I'm using like scripts to access it, but I don't think that's the way you're supposed to do it. So I think that's breaking things because I'm like trying to have context sensitive buttons, like when you're doing certain things. And it
Yep.
doesn't like that. It's like, nah, you're trying to reassign this button somewhere else. I don't think so, bro.
So what does
Uh,
it do? Does it crash or does it just
no, it
not
just
work?
doesn't work. Like I just like,
Mm.
I'm like hitting the buttons and nothing's happening. And I'm looking like an asshole, like in my game. So
In your own
it,
game,
yeah,
your
in my own game, it's making me look like an asshole. So it's
player
a
character is just doing the Sonic thing where it's just disappointed in you and just jumping off the
pretty
screen.
pretty much, yeah. I got it where like I'm like trying to have like a little ledge climbing sequence.
Yeah.
And so I changed out my entire controller because I was like, you know what, I gotta get this feeling proper. Uh, and I don't even know why, dude. Like, I don't think climbing is gonna be a huge part of this game. So I'm like, maybe I should just cut that shit out right now and just be like, whatever, man. There's no, everything that I can would be a problem with like ledge climbing. I can just access through like little events to trigger like just a jump up.
Sure.
Uh, but it's more just the principle of it, like how much time I've wasted on this already.
You
Uh,
need to figure it out. I get it. I get it.
yeah, it's more just for learning. I don't know, man. And so
Do No, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
all right. No, I was just gonna say, like, I basically finished out like gray boxing out a level. Then I got a controller in there where I was like, all right, this is working, but just felt so loose. So then I spent like Friday afternoon, all of yesterday, Saturday, messing with it, trying to get like a good tight control feel. So I'm probably like, a good 8, 10, 12 hours into just messing with this controller. And like this is like the last little bit of it is like just trying to get like this ledge climbing to work, which I already had working, but it was so loosey goosey. I was like, I gotta go in here. I gotta figure this out. And yeah, so I just spent like all of last night, like up until about 1 a.m., like trying to get this going, and it was not good.
Jeez, dude. Wow.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask, do you have an idea of how long this will be? I'm assuming it's like a one level. It's a shooter, right? Is it a tactical
Yeah.
shooter, or is it just doing third person kind of arcadey kind of
I
game,
think
or what's your idea?
the thought is it's like a little bit of a Splinter Cell and a little bit of Resident Evil, where it's like going to be sneaking and like atmospheric. I'm going for like the next gen graphics because like there was like a sale on the Unity asset store, so I was like, oh, let me pick up like some of these like HDRP assets because I was like, let me see how people are making them. It turns
Okay.
out that it's pretty straightforward, and like I could probably make better stuff, and like none of it's uniform because it's done by a dude for like whatever project they were working on, and they just threw
Sure,
it up. They're
sure.
like, so like I end up like with the situation where they have like 2x6s, and then like everything's basically 2x2 or 2x4, right?
Yep.
In this space. And
Yep.
then they just decide to throw in like a random ass 2x3 piece, and they have no 2x4 piece. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? You have a 2x10 and a 2x6. how the fuck am I supposed to get this 2x4 and a 2x3 to fit into any of this equation? It's like a weird ass math problem that I'm not
Have
trying
fun
to
cutting
solve.
this up, motherfucker.
Yeah, they're basically like, let me throw everything together, make it real simple and easy for you, except for like the last little bit of edges, and you're gonna have like shit just like pouring out one way or the other. Figure it out, asshole.
do, do you, so the models, I'm assuming you can load into any program and edit shit yourself, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like I've
So,
been
like, why would you do that when you bought it? Is that the
well,
thought?
there's that, but like also like I've been messing with just the builder. Like they got Pro Builder now in Unity. So they got Pro Builder and Pro Grids, they call it. And basically it's like a really mediocre 3D modeling program that you can like really quickly and easily like gray box out a level with it, and then you can export that as an FBX. But you can also like it automatically, it knows what it's doing basically, right? It's like I'm
Yeah.
making a box level for a video game, so like all the UVs and stuff are really clean in it. So it's like you could just drop in your physical base, assets, the PBRs, and drop those on there on the materials, and it just looks good. And
Yeah.
so like I'm questioning why I did anything when I should have just bought like a pack of like PBR materials and just like dragged and dropped that in. You know, I don't know. Like all you're basically doing is adding like a little bit extra geometry to, you know, like a little ledge or a kickboard or something. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah,
I've
I got that, and I was inspired, and I was working deep, man.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome, dude. I from our last episode, or maybe it was 2 episodes ago, I we talked about like tiled for 2D asset level creation.
Yep.
I was looking into that, and then I found a program called LDTK, the Level Designers Toolkit, and it's made by one of the devs from Dead Cells, actually.
Oh.
It's based on their custom program they made to auto-generate levels
And that works
in that
with
game.
Game Maker, doesn't it?
It works with a
Like,
bunch of shit. Yeah,
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 it
yeah,
plugs right. It just works. Like, it's
yeah.
the opposite of tiled and like G developed that I was having
Right,
problems
right. Well,
where you
Tiled
could add.
has a dedicated plugin now, so that just works too. But
Nice.
I was looking into that, and some of the it's like Tiled is great. Don't get me wrong, but some of the interface things that LDTK does is just so much more modern and slick. Like if
Yes.
you're making a Metroidvania, you don't have to load a different part of the level like in Tiled. You just zoom out, and then you have your entire world map, as it
Yeah.
were, and then you can zoom in and label things like boss room. And then maybe I'm just not like experienced enough in Tile to know how to do it there, but LDTK does it so like intuitively
It's
that
very
I'm
slick.
having a lot of fun with it.
It also like
And
lets you add in custom script parts or whatever, right? Where you can like
yes,
you can mark
yes,
things for later, like, oh, this is going to be the boss room encounter.
yep,
So you can like set up like a little trigger right there, and then like when you bring it into Game Maker, like you just like type it in, and you're like, I'm good to go. You can add in, like your whatever coins or whatever, and like your
yeah, yeah.
pickups,
Not
everything
all
right
of the
there.
scripts will go through. It's designed using, I can't remember what game dev program it'll be called. Yeah, it's called that they use, but it's something a little convoluted that not a lot of people are using, but like except for like super experienced coders who are like, yeah, we're gonna fuck with this.
Yeah,
But it works like natively with that program, and man, I can't remember what it's called. But with Game Maker, a lot of it does port in. But I mean, I would just custom do everything within Game Maker anyway, just to
yeah.
avoid any conflicts. But I started designing the school layout for my sneaking game with LD2K or LDTK, and I was having fun with it, man.
Did you Inception me, bro? Is this why I'm trying to like work on a sneaky game too? Like,
we,
is
we
all
we
you?
we talked about it, but yeah, I was working on it. We might have. I don't know, man. Also, like there's the Splinter Cell VR game coming out that we talked about a couple episodes
Yeah,
back.
I think we
So,
just like sneaky games. We talked about like a whole episode of just like
that's true.
stealth games.
It's true. It's true. So yeah, I started designing the school layout. Right now I'm just doing it for fun. We'll see what flows and what works, but it's mostly to learn the program at the moment. Um, and I was having fun with it, man. And I even let my kids use it. Just I was like, yeah, you're making this, and then had them make a little level, and I loaded a sprite of Mario that I cut Mario's head off and put one of my kids' heads on, and just
Yeah.
kind of like cartoonized it, and had them running around a level they made, kind of a Mario Maker within a computer for myself. So that was pretty
Yeah.
fun. They enjoyed that. I was gonna port that to like a tablet or something, and maybe make a quick auto runner game for them. So I might. It'll be like a game maker experiment for me. I'm just going to make an auto runner game starring my kids,
Yeah.
just for them. It'll load on their Fire tablets. I'll just side load it, and they can play that. Because
Yeah, it's one of the things where it's like it's all the stuff you do is kind of just modular, like kind of like what this controller I've been beating my head against. And also, I blame you for this controller, just to tie it all back around, because like I gave you like a demo of the gray box level, and you're like, oh,
yes,
my controller doesn't work, and then I was like, oh, how can I just get this to just work? And it's been a fucking nightmare, dude. So this is mainly the problem because like the game controls actually work on the keyboard with my inputs, but
yeah,
then it becomes almost like an Arma situation where like every key on the keyboard's doing some random shit. And yeah. So it's I don't know. It's kind of your fault because you're like, oh, but it's just make it easier, make it controller support, and that's what I've been doing. But like you said, like everything's just kind of modular. So I
yeah,
don't look at it like it's like this is like a one-off, like simple, like 2-3 level situation, which is kind of the scope of this game, where it's like there's gonna be the intro level where you kind of do a little traversal, the mystery part where you like get into like an office and like it builds up a little bit of suspense, and then like a little bit of sneaking, and then like just your zombie esque Resident Evil part of the game to
yeah.
discover more of the mystery of what's going on there. And shout out to our boy Heart on the Table. He kind of I was like, man, write me like a quick synopsis for this because like I feel like things are easier to design for when you have like a backstory to it. And so like
True.
he wrote me out like just a quick little paragraph, and it's something like they basically just found something for space travel in the moon, and so we've been strip mining the moon.
Okay.
And then and then shenanigans are afoot, and then there's like an advanced AI, uh, you know, life forms that we met, and they're out helping us. So there's like some robot characters and alien, basically Doom aliens. Like they dug a portal to hell. Like,
Got it. Got it. Got it.
yeah,
That's awesome. It's funny. I was thinking that, like, if you're a DM or you have experience in like D&D and stuff, and you want to make a quick buck, just throw your services on Fiverr. Because I noticed that anyone who's even has a passing interest in D&D are really great at world building. you
yeah,
know? So I just remember that from like school and stuff, man. Like the kids who played D&D and we had like a custom project or something, they would build like these elaborate worlds in seconds. I'm like, all right, let's go with that.
yeah.
That's you, buddy. So
But
yeah, shout
yeah,
out
I sent him.
Art.
I sent him like pictures of like the asset packs. I have him like, here's the asset packs, and like I got to tie all this shit together, figure it out. And he was like, yeah, here you go, bro. And I was like, nice, dude. This is.
That's dope.
I really appreciate it too. It's like little things too, like that he wrote. Like I'm like adding into the world. Like I'm not necessarily gonna like have like an exposition thing, but
Yeah.
like he has like this mining material, and like I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like some foreign substance, but like I added like little billboards with like that material in the background and stuff. So it's like they're kind of promoting like this mining expedition. So I got to flex a little bit of my graphic design muscles, where I'm like, oh, how would I design like a near future like pro mining little settlement.
Sweet.
Yeah, so it's like stuff like that where you're like it really helps, like just having like some back reference thing where I'm like, oh, I need to add something here, I need to make this world feel more lived in, like what are the little things I can add to it, and that all helps. But yeah, man, like I don't really look at like anything as like wasted time for building out controls or how things work, because like you said, like you can turn it into like anything. Like you can make like a free runner game out of it. You can make like an action game. You could do, have let's say you once said on this podcast where you figured out like the jump controls that you enjoy, and like
Yes.
that's just the default settings now. And I'm like,
Yes.
that's what I kind of want. I want like my third person controllers where like it's just tight and it
Yeah.
feels good and it's versatile. Where it's like, hey, maybe I want to make like some sort of climbing game later. Why wouldn't I just want this to work right now? It's like I'm doing all the
Right.
hard work now up front to save myself a headache later on. But like I said, like some of the stuff is like kind of use case as well, where it's like how much of this modular do you want to be like all things to all people? It's the Swiss Army
Yeah.
knife problem.
Yeah. Well, I look at it like like if you look at like Platinum Games, right? They're very good at making action games. If you look at Bayonetta, Altered Chain, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, Vanquish, all third-person action games, all kind of have like a very similar movement feel, you know,
Yeah.
and you know you're playing a Platinum game when you pick up that controller, and it just feels good. And I know that you know they'll probably tweak some things here and there, but I know that they have like a baseline thing that they know feels good, and that's where they start from. And I
Yeah.
think, you know, that's what, like, it's funny because, you know, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, Kojima famously really wanted to make this game, had a very cool slicing mechanic, had no idea how to make it fun. Like just
Yeah.
was just such a great backstory, like with a Raiden storyline and stuff. He was dedicated to making it an action game. Had absolutely zero idea how to make it fun, and then ended up outsourcing it to Platinum, and they made one of the best fucking action games ever. And you know it.
Basically the inspiration for Fruit Ninja. Like,
Right. So it's one of those things where if you have like a really good baseline that you can put into other projects, it makes the. 'Cause what do you think the one of the hardest parts of game dev is? But, you know, obviously finishing it, but I think starting it, right, and deciding what feels good is also like
yeah.
you always have so you start off with a great idea you're excited about, and then you sit down at the computer and you're like, okay, how do I transform this idea into something that works? I think when you have a nice baseline, like you have an idea for a platformer, like if I do, boom, I already have like a jump system I like. If I don't like how the gravity or something works with this particular character that I made, I can tweak that easily. But as far as like movement, delay time, you know, the character sliding or anything like that, that's already kind of built in, and I can just work off of that. So, you
Yeah.
know, I think that's a big thing, and
It
it
helps, man.
really it really can define your style as, you know, a company slash indie dev. You know, you kind of like, I look at Edwin McMillan, who made, you know, Binding of Isaac, Gish, Super Meat Boy. Um, Not only
Yeah.
is his art style very recognizable, but how his games typically control, even though he has like different programmers, or sometimes he'll take the programming thing up, he has a definite design sensibility in how things should move and feel.
Yeah.
And just jumping in, like you feel that you're playing his type of game. So it's something that I think as a you know, budding developer, that I really pay attention to, and I enjoy, because you know you have something right in the terms of like your identity when someone can pick up a controller and after 30 seconds know exactly who made the game, you know.
It's facts. And I feel like it's one of the things you're going to be interfacing with the most too, is like how
Yes.
the game feels. And like if it, most people on the indie level uh, keep it pretty loose. Like there's like weird jank. Like the first controller I put out, like it's just like got weird jank to it. Like it's just loose. And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with this, but something's wrong. And like maybe it's from years of playing like AAA, you know, releases as well, where it's like uh, you don't realize like how much time it takes to make a good felt out control.
Yeah.
And like it's definitely doable, but like you gotta put some thought behind it. And like this should be like the core mechanic is like what you spend the majority of your time on. Like everything else is just kind of window dressing. If it doesn't feel good to like play, like
Yeah.
you have a bad time, no matter like how good the rest of the game's designed or looks or whatever else, you know.
Yeah. It's an interesting thought. Speaking of triple A, and indie devs, just to pivot a little bit here, some great news in the triple A space. There's been, for the past at least 2 years, but it was definitely longer than that. Uh, Titanfall 1 and Titanfall 2 have been unplayable on PC.
Broken.
And the thing with Titanfall, it's made by Respawn, but EA published it. So what happens when EA goes on to the next game, or goes
The
on to,
Apex.
or takes, you know, or a game has been out for a while? EA closes servers down, so then games are unable, or you can't play them ever again. And they really don't support modding anymore, so you're pretty much screwed and dead in the water. It happened with Star Wars Battlefront, the original. Well, the original Dice game, because Battlefront 1 and 2 made by Free Radical, but before them, I can't remember. But anyway, the LucasArts games
We talked
were
about it before.
yeah, they're up and ready to rock. So
Find that old podcast where we talked about those devs
right,
spawning off to make their own studio.
for sure, for sure. So here's what happened. A group of modders who were very, very, very good at what they do created custom servers for Titanfall 2. I believe they actually cross-did it with Titanfall 1 as well. So Titanfall 2 is back on PC. You have custom servers, new game modes, and there'll be anti-cheat stuff coming as well. And so there's been a hacker that has been plaguing Titanfall where it's unplayable. He just does nothing but sits down and just ruins Titanfall for everyone. So the population is at near zero. But then you have these dedicated people who keep trying to play every day.
What do you think that guy's like villain origin story is? He just doesn't like EA?
Dude, I feel that he really liked Titanfall, right? I think he really liked Titanfall. I think one day he just got wrecked and like teabagged so much, and he's having a real bad day where like before he came home, right? He stubbed his toe. He tripped over his own 2 feet. He had dinner and got salmonella poisoning from it, and he just wanted to wind down playing a game of Titanfall 2.
Got ran over by a car. His wife
right. And some super Chad comes up, 360 no scope snipes him in the head, hijacks his mech. Talks shit in chat, teabags him every single life, and then starts a vote kick and kicks him off the server. Yeah. I think that something like that happened to him.
I think one story I heard was that it was a group of people who were upset that Titanfall wasn't getting any like update or love, and it was like plagued by hackers, and so they're like, I'm just taking this all down until because it's so easily exploited, I'm just going to shut down the servers and then force EA to do something about it. And they moved on to Apex Legends as well, where they took down those servers as well for a bit. But then they fixed that because
that's their money. That's their
bread and butter. They're like, oh yeah, we better get people on this, but they didn't do it for Titanfall. So I feel like it was the same thought processes of like, if we break this and make it unplayable, then nobody will enjoy it, and then they'll have to fix it. I don't know. It's kind of, I think it's an okay idea, but like nobody cares. Like in practice, like these huge businesses, EA doesn't give a shit. They're like, you already bought the game, whatever. Does Titanfall 2 even have a single player mode? Like,
yeah, it's dude. If you've never, all right, if you've never played the single player of Titanfall 2, even if you can't play the multiplayer, even if you're not interested in multiplayer at all, Titanfall 2 single player is one of the best single player FPS campaigns in the last decade. Truthfully, it was phenomenal, dude. I couldn't put
We've been talking about tight controls. I've heard they've had like some of the best in the business.
Yep. Yeah, I'm definitely, dude. Check it out. It's great. I think the game's only like $5
because it's unplayable online.
Right.
Until now,
it's worth, dude. It's completely worth. But you're right. You're right. In the grand scheme of things, no one cared. But these modders came and you circumvent EA's custom server browser, which is fucking broken anyway, or EA's server browser, which is fucking broken.
They tried to move everything to like those games as service. So they're like, you want to buy a game, you have to log into like Origin, get an Origin account. I have like a bunch of games I just never play because they're all on Origin, dude. I just like, I'm like, I can't. I have to like go in here. I have to remember. I remember like my buddies got Apex Legend or whatever, so it's like trying to figure out like my account for that. And I was like, what the fuck is my name on here? I remember registering, and like I remember my username was already taken. And then like I log in, it's like Magic Green Dragon. It's like my username. And I was like, yeah, all right, this is a pretty cool name. I was like, it's
that's funny. Well, I mean, they made nice with Steam again, so all of EA games are on Steam again, so that's been better.
Yeah.
When the launchers were all spread out, because I like you and probably everyone listening to here, if you've played games on PC at all, you have accounts with every fucking launcher ever. What I found is I use Steam as my main launcher, and then I use GOG Galaxy as a secondary. And so because like, when I was into Quake Champions, I had that game on the Bethesda client because that's how I I got it because it was cheaper to pre-order it there. The Ubisoft Connect with Rainbow Six Siege, I have it on there along with like Splinter Cell Blacklist, things like that. Let's see, what are the other clients?
They got the Unreal one. They got
Yeah, the Epic Game Store. Yeah,
yeah,
I absolutely hate how that client looks and operates. So like Diabolical, other I don't even think I think it's the only game I really play on that. Chivalry 2. I couldn't wait for that game to come to Steam,
Fortnite.
so I bought it there. I don't play Fortnite, but yeah, things like that. I launched
It's
through
fun,
the GOG
man.
Galaxy
Fortnite's
launcher.
fun. I'm gonna say it. I don't give a
No,
shit.
I don't like the building. I think we discussed this. I just don't like the building. I think the
Yeah,
gunplay's fine.
yeah.
I
I
don't like
never.
building things. Yeah,
I stopped playing when the building became the main meta. But like there was a golden era of Fortnite where it was like minimal building and like run and gun, and it was
yeah,
fun. I
yeah.
enjoyed it. But then Chad's like me and my buddies who can like actually aim down sights and like know how to use a compass start dominating. So all the kids are like fortifying and building themselves off in like their hidey holes. And I'm like, I don't want to play this anymore. Like as soon as they start like, building up and up and up, and I'm like, I'm good, dude. It's a bit
Happens, man.
much.
It's its own niche. Like nothing does Fortnite like Fortnite. So I mean, it definitely carved its path. It's just not for me. That's all.
No.
People will shit on it, going that game fucking sucks. I'm like, does it though?
I
I'm
feel like
like I
it's
just
got
think you
the
don't
same
like it.
problem as RTSs, where the meta moved to like APMs, and like if you
Yeah,
don't have like fast APMs and good hotkeys on your keyboard for like building fast, like you get dunked on and you're gonna feel like shit. But like you're gonna
yeah,
feel the same way like if you try to like play a game of StarCraft 2 right now,
yeah,
like you're gonna be like, God damn, why am I so bad at StarCraft? It's
yeah,
just because like the
yeah,
people who are into it are really into it, and they're doing like you know 200-300 actions per minute, whereas like you're doing like four.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, true, true, true. I think that's why people gravitate towards like 4X games where it's more of the grand scale battles that take time versus the quickness of StarCraft or Command and Conquer and shit like that. So that's interesting. But yeah, dude, North Star brought Titanfall 2 back. It's huge, dude. The game immediately skyrocketed. You have custom servers, and if you remember, like the old Quake stalwart Madhouse based in Chicago, they immediately jumped on the Titanfall 2 bandwagon. Their servers always like full and ready to rock. They added
yeah,
new game modes and stuff, and they by virtue of opening up this mod, the game itself is opened up to more modding too. So Titanfall 2 is having a second life, dude, and
bit
I'm
of a
excited for it.
renaissance.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
we saw this same kind of thing where it's like a really Herculean undertaking, especially for like things like MMOs and stuff, where like you have like these weird private servers that like pop up with like small populations of people. But it's like if you bought the game and like they shut down the official servers or whatever, it's like it's the only way to play it. Or like sometimes slices of the game as
yes,
well, where it's like, oh, I like the game up until like this expansion. I know that was huge for like Lineage 2, where like you get on private servers for a long time, and it was like, oh, you can play up to like the whatever it is, like the Crusade, and then like
sure.
you're like, that's it. Because I didn't like it when they added in like all the winged furry people, like that was weird.
Yeah,
And then like they do the same thing with like WoW as well, where you have like your vanilla WoW server as well, and like it's like, all right, we're having this up to like the main expansion because I didn't like it when they added in like the weird winged and furry creatures. That was weird.
that's where you keep stopping in MMOs.
Yeah,
They
they had
start
the
adding
pandas
winged
and
furry
the
people, and yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's great, man.
I'm not
But
alone. There's a community of us.
so that got me thinking, man. So shout outs to the North Star team for sure, and thank you for saving Titanfall 2. Hopefully this will, like, the population remains high, and it will show EA and Respawn that they made a fucking phenomenal game, and to go back to the universe. I love that Apex Legends is within universe, and we have a lot of Titanfall influences, but let's get a Titanfall 3 just in general, right? I miss jumping in mechs. And I'd like it on next gen. We'll see how it goes, but North Star is a stepping stone to that, hopefully. So shout out to those devs. But that got me thinking, dude. Modders save things all the time, and
Yeah.
this is just the latest story of it, dude. A couple of things that I was thinking about, like one of my favorite games ever, and one of the best games of all time, Deus Ex. Uh, that game is still phenomenal, but it aged poorly, not only in controls, but just general,
The
some
graphic
gameplay
fidelity.
sensibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only way to really play Deus Ex right now, I mean, yes, it'll work if you start it up, but you're gonna be all like, why do I have to use the number pad for certain things in control? So you're gonna have to immediately modify
See
your
our
controls.
earlier discussion, man. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Every button on the keyboard has to do so.
Yes, yes. So there's the revisionist mod for Deus Ex that restores some cut content, modernizes the game a bit, and you can just jump in and start enjoying it, and it works, and including higher resolutions. They added the gender mod, which I can't remember what it's actually called, but you can choose to be a female now, which is actually which was going to happen in the game anyway. Ion Storm was building it, but they just didn't have time. And
Yeah.
this dedicated modder re-recorded all of the voice lines for JC Denton, and added new NPCs, added new character interactions. So you don't get the thing if when they refer to you as like a male or something, they changed it to female, and it sounds natural in the game. It's incredible. So like Deus Ex Revisionist mod, man, that's how you play Deus Ex. Like when you download or buy that game, first forum post, first like guide or anything, it goes download revisionist. It's
Yeah.
it's part of it now, and I think that's incredible.
I know, like they had like a lot of this problem as well early on with porting a bunch of games over from consoles to PC, and modders had to like step in just to like fix controls. Because like the PC, they're like, all right, you can only use like these buttons, and that's it. And I know like a lot of, like the Sega collection and stuff. They're like, we gotta go in and fix like how this maps to like where you can set it up. Like it's usually like another program you have to set up like the DL files or whatever, but it does it out of hand, out of pocket
Yeah,
for you.
yeah,
Where it's like this should be standard, but like modders had to like step in and just make these games like really playable, like on a modern system on PC. But
yep,
you know,
yep.
it, it's
Like
it's crazy.
like you look in Dark Souls, the original Dark Souls. Everyone knows it won like the greatest game of all time on like the Game Awards or whatever. It's like the world's ultimate game, which it's hard to argue. Even if you don't like that genre, Dark Souls definitely was a force of nature. Um,
Yeah, it started its own genre now. People call things Dark Souls like.
Yep, yep, exactly. And like the PC port of the original sucked ass. And you know what fixed it? DS Fix. It was a mod people made to make the game fucking work. And
Yeah.
people even overlooked that. Like if you bought like before the remastered edition came out, if you bought Dark Souls on PC, they're like get the DS Fix mod. It higher resolutions, unlocked frame rate, just controls in general. Shit just work. Even fixed crashes. Like when a mod fixes
Yeah,
crashes, you know what I mean?
just dedication.
Yeah, yeah. So fucking huge, dude. So I think that as we move toward AAA, like AAA gets higher separation from indie at the moment, because I think like the advent of the new consoles, HDR stuff like that. AAA guys have access to more things than we as indie devs do, but there's still dedicated people who will figure it out, who will go in and tweak things. So I just wanted to take this episode and just give a shout out to some of these modders, man, who are out there doing God's work.
Yeah.
The DS Fix people, the Titanfall 2 North Star people. Speaking of EA, going back to them, Battlefront 2, they're keeping the servers open right now because the game still has a very high population, but it'll end eventually. And one of the things that stops that game is sometimes you'll have playlists that are empty. So you know what? Modders came out again. Custom servers, the Kyber, custom servers for Battlefront 2. So that's
It's
big.
kind
That's
of
going to open
weird.
the game up a bunch.
They used to have this all in back in the day. Back in my day, you'd have to like have like a private server to even play like online games, and like it would just give you a server list whenever you
Yeah,
try to play like your Quakes or whatever. It's like, oh, you can play on like any wacky server that's out there. Uh, but they
yep.
got away from that with basically like Xbox and PlayStation, where
Xbox
they
Live, and they
yeah
made an ecosystem on PC. Yeah,
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 and like just the way servers and like the cost of running things also changed up as well, and like to prevent cheats and stuff, they like got away from like private servers. But it's always been, why not have the option? I think
yeah.
that's been like the tournament scenes always wanted it. I think like every sports, esports, people trying to set up private tournaments or whatever, or like custom modes for things. It's like you usually have to contact the developers directly and get like somebody to come out or like give you a specific build for how you're going to do things. And then like the quality of that's always like questionable because you don't know like what patch version you're going to get.
Yeah.
So it's like nobody know. Sometimes you just go into things just blind as well, where you're like, I don't know, might crash or it might be glorious. Who knows?
Well,
But
like
it
the
used to,
big tournaments, you specified what patch. So
yeah,
back like ESL, shit like stuff like that back then. You specified what patch it was. So that helped. But yeah, you're right. You're right. Some shit got nutty. Um, I don't know. When the reason why we don't have custom servers much anymore is you're right. Xbox Live, the consoleization of gaming online. But I think that consoles actually expanded upon what multiplayer gaming was because I think matchmaking's huge. People hate skill-based matchmaking, but I think that when done correctly, it's phenomenal because you're always it's supposed to work so you'll always have a fun match. You always have an
yeah,
intense match. Naturally, matches you'll go up and down, whatever. But I personally enjoy it. Like I like just hitting a button, it searches it, matches me up with people, and I'm always in. You ever like I remember back in the 90s and early 2000s, like trying to join the same server as your buddy, you'd have to make sure there was enough open slots, or you'd wait for a slot to open up, then you'd get in, and then hope to God that you're on the same team. If one
yeah.
team's full, you'd have to wait. Enemy Territory was one of my favorite games ever, and I got every fucking buddy I've ever known to play, at least play the game. A lot got addicted to it, but at least play it. And we'd always have to find servers that were empty, then we'd just populate it and go for that. That was just a part of gaming. And the fact that we can group up as a party right now, click a button, get matched with other people, it's so easy now. Like these kids don't know how it used to be, man.
Yeah, used
They
to be
just don't.
pains. It used to be like trying to exchange your Nintendo friend codes with people, but all the time. I
And
could see it.
that's what gave rise to like TeamSpeak and stuff, dude. Like
Yeah.
you could talk to your buddies and go, "Hey, I'm clicking this server. Okay, cool."
Yeah.
So
What's the IP of the server you're on? This one? Nope. Nope. Yeah, like I could see big companies turning around and trying to sell us this, but like wanting control of it. They're like, "Oh, you want a server? We can rent you out a 10-person server for $40 a month." So I think we're gonna get like the worst of everything in the future. Whereas like it used to just be like, yeah, out of the box, like anyone who wanted like a dedicated server client could just download one and set it up with like a bit of a work. I know like Minecraft, I think was like that for a little bit. I'm not sure if they
still is.
still is. Valheim, like Rust, you can like set up like custom servers and stuff. But I could see big companies looking at that and be like, why don't we just, keep getting money from people and then like we just rent them out server space, even though we're already providing it for free. So
But you get to change the in-game options though too.
whoever owns the server, yeah.
Yeah. Well, like Battlefield did it as well, like with Battlefield 4 and I think 3 started it. Maybe it was Bad Company too, but 3 for sure, where you could have your own custom server. So you could always jump on a spot and you'd have a slot just for you. So it'd be locked to just you joining, which is pretty cool. I don't know, man. I think there's a place for it, but you're right. It's hard when you have like giant companies controlling things because then you have less freedom to make what you want.
Yeah,
But
they're
that's where
like,
the
how
modders
can we
come in.
make this profitable? And it's like people in like your game and they'll buy the next one and they keep
Right.
supporting it. And they're like, I don't see how that's going to help our bottom line this quarter. Like it's
Right.
a very 4 month at a time thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's you could even look at like something like Cyberpunk where modders came in, they did like a huge quality of life patches for that. And like they just recently hired a bunch of the modders into that. And I've heard good and bad things about like they were like, oh, no more crunch time, but also we're gonna keep crunching. Then like when they got called out on that, they're like, okay, we're just gonna outsource the crunch now to other. But
Yeah.
like that seems like every company does that at this point, where it's like if you don't see the worker exploitation, it's just happening in another country. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Right. For sure. For
uh,
sure.
yeah, they're heartless corporation. I know like some places do it better than others. I know like Divinity, their team. they had teams like globally, and so they could just kind of like do a baton like toss where it's like, okay, our A team in Europe's coming online, and then like when they're going to bed, like our B team like in the other hemispheres coming online, and then when they're going to bed, the C team's coming online, and then they hand it off, and they just had like the leads talk to the other leads, and like
So they had a very interesting way to do crunch. They left it up to a vote. They're like, hey, we're not going to make this, but we don't want to force anyone to do anything they don't want. So people voted on if they wanted to crunch or not,
yeah,
which, you know, like let's say the first Divinity was, oh, both were Kickstarter projects, but the first one for sure. They're like, we don't want to disappoint the backers, you know, so we're going to crunch. And then they released stuff saying that, hey, the staff decided to do this. This wasn't from the,
I
you
mean,
know, from the
usually
higher ups.
it's always the staff though, right? That's the problem with
No,
crunch a
no,
lot
it's
of the
not.
time. Like I feel
No.
like it creates a culture where if you feel like the asshole if you go home when your hour's up, if everybody else on the team's like there and they're like, we gotta get this done, we got all these people depending on us, like the fans, blah blah, we gotta keep the lights on, and you have like your supervisor, their supervisor, everybody's there just like working their ass off, and you're like, I'm the junior guy. I want to go home. I got family, man. Peace out. And everyone be like, all right, man. I don't know. There's a very real psychological thing where you feel bad going against the group when like the entire group's like doing one thing, and then like you're the only guy who's like, I'm out 4 p.m. every day, and everybody else is there till 10 p.m. And then they're like, and then they also do like shitty things, not on purpose, but it's still shitty. Where it's like, oh, we're giving you all these perks in quotes, where it's like we have food, we're bringing catering, we're ordering out for you, uh, we're providing you with like whatever X Y Z, we're giving you hotel rooms across the street. You can at your desk, whatever you have pillows, you can have a quiet room.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's all just reasons to keep you in the building so you don't go home to your family or like
Right.
just out of the space.
Right.
We
I mean,
have foosball tables, man. We have a pool table, a ping
there's
pong table, bro. Why would you ever want to leave? There's a gym downstairs. It's like,
there's
yeah, I don't
a
want to. It's a harkens back to like the early 1700s where like the company owned stores, whereas like you get paid in company money and you can only use it in the company store type of thing.
yeah. There's something to be said about that. And you're right, they do that. I've been a part of a company that we were doing a whole system wide change, right?
Yeah,
This was when I was in banking, and we were doing it over the weekend, and shit was not working. We opened up again on Monday. We had like people who had to get their money out of the bank, so it had to work somehow. And one of the things that it fell on was this guy,
yeah,
um, so. I could have went home, but then Monday would have sucked. Like there would have
for
been people,
everybody.
yeah, for everybody. So I negotiated like, hey, I'm gonna take the day off on Monday, and I'm gonna get this shit working over the weekend. So I, busted my ass, stayed up quite a bit, uh, got shit connected, got shit working, and come Monday morning, no one even knew there was a problem.
Yeah,
So there's something about that, but here's where I think the companies just they don't have a timeline.
yeah.
They're like, we need to make release, right? Well, you decided release based upon where you were previously, right? It's games that are out in like 4 years or something like that. It's like, hey, 2025, we're gonna have our next game. All right. I think that games shouldn't be announced that early.
Yeah.
Because you don't know, especially when it's like a next gen something or other. You don't
Yes.
know how it's gonna work. Like
It's like
Cyberpunk
a
was announced 6 years before it came
big
out. Like,
example. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
like
ridiculous.
fuck off, dude. Like I personally think that games shouldn't be announced until they're a year out.
Yeah.
Just you know,
You got
like
shareholders to think about, kid. You
yeah, yeah,
can't.
that's true. That's true. But there's if you look in the grand scheme of things, games that are announced like years before always run into development issues. Always have flack. Halo Infinite, for example, which we talk about a lot on this pod, 6 years in development, probably more than that, honestly, and just 6 years since the last game, and the game had a shitstorm of problems. And
Yeah.
even on release, it still seems rushed. If they would have announced it like a year ago for going, hey, This should be out this year, and when you announce it, you should be ready to go gold in like 6 months. Let's say 6 months,
Yeah.
you should be ready to go gold. They
I
weren't
would say
ready at all, you know.
I would say like those last 6 months though are like the uh worst. Unless you like you said, like you've already like set it up where it's like you're not having to worry about like crunch or concede and like you basically taking care of all the big problems. You've done like
Yes,
your QA and like you're like, all right, we're just patching up things from the QA and this will be our gold release.
yep.
Whereas like I feel like big AAA games are like, all right, we're gonna drop this out in 6 months, and then we're gonna start QA, and then we're gonna try and put out like all these major fires, and that's where you end up with like these unreasonable crunch and
Yeah,
like all these other problems. Like,
yeah. Well, like the ones that have their multiplayer betas, right? Like a month
yeah,
before the game comes out. Like that's not a fucking beta. That's you're not testing shit. You know, you
yeah.
don't have time to fix anything that could be broken there. Like
So
that's
yeah,
just
like
a
Fallout
fucking limited
76.
demo for you. Yeah, Fallout
Yeah,
76, fucking the Call of Duty, fucking Battlefield 2042 was so fucking broken on that beta that the game came out what was it, 40 days later, and it was still fucking broken. Was anyone surprised? There's no time to fix that. You know,
yeah.
like what the fuck are you doing? So that's, that's the difference from AAA
I
to
could also
indie.
want to throw not just on publishers but also platforms as well.
Mm,
Like you can look
mm,
at like how Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo let a lot of shit slide. They let like a lot of shit slide with like Cyberpunk, specifically because they're like, oh, we're gonna fix it within the first patch because like, you can download stuff now. So like they give way too much leeway. I feel like to companies where they're like, oh, we'll just assume they'll fix it. They give them like passes where they're like, we'll give them cert, but we know they're gonna patch it day one. And
yeah,
like sometimes they do, but most of the time they're not. Like you need to like stop and be like, no, we're not gonna let this through this way. You need to like patch this, uh, and then we'll put it through. We're not gonna put this broken shit on our store.
yeah.
You can
Well, I
look at
mean,
like
Cyberpunk got removed from PlayStation Store, so
yeah, but like they never do that. Like they had to like
yeah,
rewrite policies and like go through and change things specifically because like there's like uh, a major bad actor, but there's been plenty of bad actors who like just got the pass and that led up to like this problem. It's like there's like 1,000 little holes, and this was just like the one that like pushed through like the dam where people are like, no, we're suing. This is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
And like
yeah.
they did like a bunch of class action lawsuits, but like you've seen this like happen time and time again with like EA, where they're constantly getting class action lawsuited by
Right.
consumers. Where like Australia had to like rewrite like some consumer laws to like better favor people. We're like, no, people gotta be able to return these busted ass games if they get
Right.
home and it's not working or it's like not what was described. Like this is should be illegal. Like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Agreed. Agreed. You
uh,
can't fuck over the consumer because your company was incompetent or released a broken ass game. That's true.
I mean,
That's
they're not
true.
even incompetent. They're just looking at their bottom line. Like I said, like when you have more pre-sales and like you're gonna lose money by keep developing it, you're like, all right, we're gonna push this out because we need like 8 more months to like put the fine tuning and polish on this. But it's
Yeah.
like your game wasn't ready this year. It was ready in 8 months, and that was when it was gonna be like an okay release. Like, so I don't know. Like, we're really looking for like modders to fix like a lot of these problems, and like a lot of it's OG games where like they build out these good modular systems. Like you can look at like things like Skyrim, which is
Yeah.
like they put out like all these good modding tools and stuff, and like it's really kept alive this franchise. It's really kept Bethesda, like,
Shit.
alive.
Grand Theft Auto Online, dude.
Yeah,
Like, what's key? Maybe I'm in the minority, but I don't find the multiplayer fun at all. But what's keeping it alive? Like the RP servers, the custom shit that's going on in that game. It's
yeah.
like it is what it is. I think that's one of those things where you're just like Grand Theft Auto should have been a no brainer to have online and have fun, right? But for whatever reason, I just couldn't get into it. But the RP servers, people love it. People
Yeah,
love streaming and watching it. Like it's keeping that game going. That game's been going for what, a decade
yeah, and
almost.
like just look at like all the
Same with
wacky
Skyrim.
mods that
Yeah.
are in that game too, where you could like I saw like two people like fighting Godzilla and like another like kaijin in that
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like one of the main questions they get asked at every shareholder meeting as well is like, when's the next Grand Theft Auto coming out? And then they're like,
Yeah.
we're printing money with these online servers. And they're like, all
Shut the
right, never
fuck
mind.
up. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But yeah, dude, we're just kind of winding down here, and I just wanted to give a shout to other mods that are pretty much the definitive experience for these games. We talked about Titanfall 2. We talked about Deus Ex, Titanfall 2's North Star mod, Deus Ex Revisionist, Battlefront 2, the Kyber custom servers, Battlefield 2, Project Reality. There's still Project Reality servers up, and I think they do the more realistic combat better than like Battlefield 4 did. Project Reality was dope as fuck, modernizing the game and making it more of a tech shooter that's on a large scale. The Dark Souls DS fix, of course, it's required. Just Cause 2. You know why Just Cause was so popular? Not because the single player was that fun, which it was, but they added multiplayer. Like modders just said this game didn't have multiplayer at all. They said, hey, this world would be super fun if a bunch of people could jump in. So Just Cause 2 multiplayer did that, man. It was fucking awesome. And then the actual devs have never made a multiplayer mode for Just Cause. It makes no sense. Like it's a huge sandbox. That'd be fun. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines and also Masquerade Redemption have unofficial fan patches that are required just to beat the game.
That's just like a cult classic game. Like it didn't, it kind of came out like a whimper and then like built up to like this whole thing where it's like it's a huge cult following, but like, it's all built on the Steam engine, right? The
Half-Life
Source,
the Source
engine. Yeah,
yep.
That's crazy. Like with the like Source has always been really modder friendly as well. Like
Titanfall 2 and Titanfall 1 are also built on Source.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Gabe coming in hot, dude.
Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines is seriously one of the best RPGs I've ever played, and I couldn't imagine playing it without the fan patch. So shout out to the people who made Bloodlines patch. I think they're on 9.3 right now. Shout out those guys. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, the Sith Lords, the fan patch that restored cut content, which adds like fucking 20 hours to that game. World building and side quests made the game way better. So shout out to those guys. And finally, the people who decided to just improve and make online play for games that don't have it, fighting games like we have Project M for Smash Bros. It was Smash Bros 4, and they added wave dashing and it made the combat more like Melee. And then for things like Fightcade, the GGPO client, and Slippy for Smash Bros and stuff, dude. Like modders just they help our industry that we love. Without modders we wouldn't have a lot of things. We wouldn't have Counter-Strike, Team Fortress, League of Legends,
those old
Defense of the Ancients, man. Yeah, dude. Custom servers, keeping Phantasy Star Online, the OG one, ticking to this day. Like that's the first time I've ever heard of like fan servers was playing Phantasy Star Online. I got it on PC. People were all like, "Oh yeah, you can still crossplay with Dream. You can still play it on Dreamcast to this day, dude. It's insane." There's Dreamcast custom servers, and right now, people who have like emulators for PS3 and stuff, they figured out how to emulate the fucking PlayStation Network, so you can play like games online now, just natively. It doesn't make sense, dude. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So shout out to all the modders who are keeping just our old favorites alive, man. Shout out.
Yeah. There's definitely, I would say there's like two tiers of it. It's like it's a great way to get your foot wet and learn how to do like different harder game dev stuff. And then two is like it's a great for preservation to like keep a lot of this stuff that would just like evaporate, like still alive. I think there's like what's that place called, like Hidden Palace, where they do like dumps of like these classic source code of like games while they got the everything from like NES to like
I think that's gray area.
It's very gray. Game preservation is an extremely gray area. Same with like we talked about a little bit like last time where I was talking about like I found like on the Internet Archive I could get these books that don't exist in America. But like that's an extremely gray legal area where it's like, oh, you should buy a ticket to Japan and like track down like these books in like a pawn shop or like a thrift store and buy them there. And it's like, yeah, bro, I'm not going to do all that. But
right. This whole portion of the pod is going to be redacted, by the way.
Well, it's a lot of the things too, where it's like the original creators are no longer even getting money for it. It's like in some sort of weird holding company in name only.
No One Lives Forever 1 and 2 are in that same boat right now.
Like weird legal, like Good Old Games does a good job of like trying to track down like a lot of these licenses and like do a lot of game preservation there as well. If you want to go to the more legal area,
Yes.
where they go through and they find these contracts, they find the people, and they like spend a lot of time and effort to
And
preserve
they
like the
make it
games
work on
that way.
modern computers too. So
Yeah, they do. You know, they do a ton of work to get that to that point where it's I don't. It's tough, man. And like they started off as modders as well. Like they're offshoot where they wanted to translate games to whatever it was like whatever
Polish.
crazy
Because
languages.
it's
Yeah,
CD Projekt Red who
Shamash.
owns it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
You know, they wanted to translate to Polish. Przepraszam. You know, they got to get out there and do it.
exactly. But yeah, dude, I think you know that concludes today's episode. But you know, shout out modders and Chip. I'm excited to see your next project in Unity, man. That was very fun seeing your 2D game. And if you guys
Yeah.
haven't played it, check out Chip's
Waiting to see some
roguelike.
screenshots of yours, man. When are we
Yeah,
gonna?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll
When are we
jump
gonna
some
get the
out.
Steel Magnolia?
We'll jump some. We'll throw some out really soon here. It'll be good. All right, man. This is episode 50. Can you believe it?
The big
Holy
5 hour,
shit.
dude.
Yeah, man. This is the season 2 ender. So everybody who has been following us for since Jump, everybody who's joined in, and it has just given us some love. Thank you so much.
We're just starting. It's just
Started.
begun.
It's just getting better, man. It's just getting better. So you know, I'm Mr. Gimpy. It's Chipmunk.
Chipmunk.
We're out of here, guys. Take care.
Peace.
Like, share, subscribe.